Hello my friends and welcome. We have again some awesome news from the front lines. You can see again the dark blue color over here. It means that Ukrainian army was able to break through the Russian defense over here. One more step in cutting the Russian robust defense lines. So today this one was penetrated. However, the other defense line still holds the Ukrainian army from Verbova, and it's just a matter of time that Ukraine will go to that village. Yesterday there was the success of Ukrainian army over here, and today over here. As we can see, Ukraine reinforces the eastern direction towards Verbova, but also there were some awesome news coming from Novoprokopivka, where there's the Russian command base of the paratroop divisions. It was ambushed by HIMARS. We have the confirmation about it from the Russian military command. They lost many of the officers that were sent to this place just recently. They joined the meeting not far away from Robotyne, not a good place actually for the meetings of the officers, and were ambushed. The south direction, Novoprokopivka for Ukraine, however, is more difficult compared to Verbova from what I can see, because Russia deployed the reinforcements, 10,000 more soldiers, mostly paratroopers. Yes, they don't have the real experience fighting on the front lines. Those are the special operations divisions and the final reserve actually for the Russian army. It shows that Russia is in panic because they use those unique soldiers, I would say. They have now nothing to put against the invasion of Russia itself, for example by China. Yes, the paratroop divisions know how to deal with weaponry, but in general, against artillery, there is no big difference between mobilized soldiers and paratroops. Nevertheless, they may slow down the Ukrainian counteroffensive operation exactly on the south. But Verbova is still the way out for Ukraine to go behind the defense lines and attack Russians from this side. Alright, now let's change to Azerbaijan Armenia conflict for a while, because those are the top news right now. I may not call it the conflict, but the real war, because Azerbaijan started to use artillery, aviation, drones against so-called Nagorno-Karabakh Republic. My friends, I want to say that I'm not very well familiar with the situation between Azerbaijan and Armenia. I know some of the history. Then the Soviet Union collapsed, Armenia took Nagorno-Karabakh under control. According to statistics, the majority of the population in Nagorno-Karabakh are Armenians. However, it is the internationally recognized Azerbaijani territory. So in fact, Azerbaijan wants to get it back. However, as you can see, with military action, and I do not support any kind of the war. However, I do support all of the borders that are internationally recognized of every country. Why I don't support this war? Because it always brings the civilian casualties. Today I saw many videos how Azerbaijani forces targeted the civilian infrastructure with private households, and obviously there will be many more casualties because of this war. The official Armenia decided not to go for a full-scale war with Azerbaijan over so-called Nagorno-Karabakh. I actually think it's the smart move, even though they will lose the influence in Nagorno-Karabakh region, and I predict that Azerbaijan will take control over all of the Nagorno-Karabakh. I think that right now Armenia doesn't have the chances against Azerbaijani army that is backed up by Turkey and some other countries too. And basically Azerbaijan was preparing for this war for a very long time. There were regular flights by Silk Air to Israel where they got the weaponry from. The tensions start to escalate around 2 weeks ago. Then so-called Nagorno-Karabakh announced the elections, which are not recognized by Azerbaijani government. So for Azerbaijan, Nagorno-Karabakh doesn't exist. For Armenia, it exists like a state that is friendly to Armenia, with majority of Armenians in. For now, we see the propaganda from both of the sides. Armenia said that Azerbaijan started this military conflict like Russia. Azerbaijan said that Armenia created the so-called Nagorno-Karabakh Republic as Russia created the DPR in Ukraine. There are some clashes in Yerevan, the capital of Armenia, where locals protest against the decision not to use the military force in Nagorno-Karabakh. But again, if Armenia takes decision to go and fight against Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh, they may potentially lose thousands of soldiers, with little chances to secure Nagorno-Karabakh under their influence. So yes, it might be the tough decision for all of the Armenians, but I think for Armenia it's better not to fight in this current situation, then they don't have enough resources. Also, Armenia is part of the military alliance with Russia, so-called ODKB. However, officially that organization said that they will not support Armenia in this war. So what's the use of that organization? That is why many of the Armenians start to block the Russian embassy in Yerevan. Now it is surrounded by the crowd and they're not letting anyone out or anyone in. And for example, this is the picture from the parliament building of Yerevan. There are some clashes between protesters and police. And if you compare the economies of two of those countries, Azerbaijan with the oil obviously has many more resources and it invested lots in its military. Also, Azerbaijan has the stable management, and we may not say so for Armenia. There were many protests against Pashinyan before and now they continue, so it's very unstable political situation now in Armenia. So again, not a best condition for the country to go for a full-scale war. There is the interesting question about the Russian so-called peacekeepers that are located in so-called Nagorno-Karabakh. For now, no casualties from them were reported. According to some of the rumors, they start to retreat from that territory to Russia. They didn't do anything to stop Azerbaijan today, by the way, but they reported that one of the sides started the escalation. So again, it shows the weakness of the Russian Federation that they are unable to stop this war from happening. They deployed the peacekeepers, but they're just useless. So my prediction that Azerbaijan will take control over the territory of so-called Nagorno-Karabakh in a nearby future, because Armenia decided not to take part in this war. Okay, so this is the meeting near to the Russian embassy in Yerevan. Locals are accusing Russia for not helping Armenia in this fight. Also, they accused Pashinyan for betrayal of their country. But if Pashinyan would start this war again, my friends, that will cause thousands of losses for Armenia. So I wouldn't do it. But also I want to state it again, I do not support the Azerbaijani actions, the military actions in so-called Nagorno-Karabakh, because it will bring lots of the losses for civilians. As a Ukrainian, I may understand how civilians suffer because of any war. Also for me, it's terrible to see this war between Azerbaijan and Armenia, because I was flying to Baku many times as well as to Yerevan. Great people from both of the countries, and by the way, many of the Azerbaijani and Armenian soldiers are fighting for Ukrainian army. So it's bad from what I can say, but my prediction that it's gonna be over very soon, not more than 2 weeks. Because Azerbaijan has many more resources. Alright, let's go back to Ukraine. We have the list of the military help that is announced by Germany in a new military package that will be delivered very soon. We don't have the Taurus missiles, but we have lots of the interesting stuff that is crucial for Ukrainian army. There was the new Ramstein meeting today. Unfortunately, no ATACMS were announced for Ukraine. However, we have the positive news. As we know, the Abrams tanks will soon join the Ukrainian army. Plus, more of the air defense missiles or systems will be sent for Ukraine, because as Lloyd Austin says, Ukraine needs the air defense more than the long-range missiles. About the Ukrainian pilot training on the F-16s, it's already ongoing. The General Mark Milley said that Russia deployed nearly 300,000 soldiers on the occupied territories of Ukraine. However, still Russia did the strategic mistake by starting the war in Ukraine, because Ukraine will never stop until it liberates its territory. Ukraine already has liberated 54% of the territory that was occupied in 2022. Still, lots of the job to be done in the future for the occupation of Ukraine, and everybody says that it's the long-term war, unfortunately. Alright, for the breaking news, I have to deviate from the Ukrainian topic again. It seems like the Russian peacekeeper camp was attacked by Azerbaijani forces. We have even the video confirmation about it. I will publish it on my Telegram channel. By the way, my friends, don't forget to subscribe for my Telegram. It's available with a link in the video description just below. I use the Telegram as my main resource to tell the truth about what is happening in Ukraine, and not only. Russia doesn't report about the casualties at this particular checkpoint. It also could be the provocation that was done by the Russia itself. President Biden calls the United Nations to stand by Ukraine as allies see the long war ahead. So again, we see the sign that this war may continue for many years. According to this Bloomberg article, it may continue for around 7 years, and some of the officials in Germany, military officials, say that it may last for 10 years. Alright, now to the bad news. Somehow Russia was able to target the Ukrainian MiG-29 airplane in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Unfortunately, it seems like this airfield is not far away from the front lines, while Lancet drones are very effective and they may fly for a very long distance. As for the airfield that was attacked, it is located 70 kilometers away from the front lines. The Lancet drone has the range up to 40 kilometers, so probably they have the new modification, the very long range. So Ukraine have to move the fighter jets further away from the front lines. However, Russia also filmed the attack from different perspective using the other drone. The Lancet drone went very close to the airplane, not hitting it directly, but shrapnel unfortunately went through the airplane's skin and construction parts, so this airplane will not fly any longer, unfortunately. Maybe it will be sent to Poland for repairs, but Ukraine also has many of the MiGs that it may restore. Just need to have lots of the funds for that. By the way, let's speak about Poland. The meeting between President Zelensky and Duda for now was cancelled in the United States of America, but before it was planned. Also today, Ukrainian officials announced that they will ban some of the products delivered from Poland to Ukraine. This is very bad. And here I'm not blaming Poland. There should be the negotiations between those two countries for the grain deal or whatever. We shouldn't destroy the Polish agriculture sector just because we want to sell the grains. Poland does a lot for Ukraine, supplying us with fighter jets and many more weaponry. Since the beginning of the war, Poland was the closest ally for Ukraine, and now it's hard for me to see the tensions between the allies. Plus, almost all of the weaponry goes across the Polish territory to Ukraine, all of the humanitarian help, etc. This is my channel, so I will say it as I think. I think that Ukraine does a great mistake by going to the international court against Poland, Slovakia and even Hungary. Why? Because we shouldn't escalate the tensions between allies. You know, if you go to court against your friend, it's kind of the not good situation, I would say. And I consider Poland as the greatest friend of Ukraine. At the same time, Poland obviously will not pull back. It's their decision to secure their agricultural industry, so they even announced, one of their officials announced, that they may stop the aid for Ukrainian refugees in Poland. Well, according to the international conventions, they still should allow Ukrainian refugees to enter their country and to help them, but what help it will be, it might be reduced gradually because Poland is now in tensions with Ukraine and ordinary people may suffer. By the way, if Ukraine starts selling the grains in Poland, for example, ordinary people in Poland will not get the final products cheaper because there are some lobbies of those grains. They will pay less but sell the final product for the same price. So there is no any profit for Poland, and Poland is the agricultural state too, the same as Ukraine. It sells its products around the world, so they need to secure their agriculture sector. And I understand those Polish farmers who might lose everything. They cannot make the price lower because, as I say to you, they have to pay a lot to produce the same amount of grains, where Ukraine produces it much cheaper. So hopefully you understand my point. It's better to de-escalate, especially when you have lots of the help from the close ally as Poland. One more interesting case, the article from the New York Times, quite a respected source, I might say, from mainstream media, and they say that the evidence suggests Ukrainian missile caused the market tragedy in Konstantinivka. We were speaking about it 2 weeks ago. So they compared the images and they say that it was probably the Ukrainian Buk missile, the ground-to-air missile that hit the local market in Konstantinivka. Ukrainian side says that it was the Russian S-300 ground-to-air missile that was converted to ground-to-ground missile. Honestly, I don't think that it was the Buk missile after all, because it wasn't converted to ground missile. After all, it was the ground explosion, and Russia converted their S-300 systems to be the ground-to-ground systems. What I don't like here, again, as a Ukrainian I may say so, that some of the President Zelensky's advisors say that the investigation of this case is unnecessary because they are sure that it was the Russian missile. But clearly many people lost their lives, so the investigation should be for every case then Russia uses their missiles and targets the Ukrainian infrastructure. So please find the missile, the debris, and show it to public that this article is wrong. Actually, I didn't expect to see this article from the New York Times because immediately after that case, Russia spread it in their media that it was the Ukrainian missile. What is also kind of suspicious that the New York Times released this article then President Zelensky visited the United Nations in the United States. Could it be the political big game? Yes, why not? What is interesting that the author of this article is Thomas Gibbons-Neff, who already told many times that Ukraine used the cluster shells over the villages and towns, said that the Ukrainian army sells the tanks that they got from allies to the third countries, which is completely nonsense. The same he told about artillery, and he also accused the international volunteers, especially the United States volunteers who helped Ukraine during this war. So he's quite biased person, I would say, by the Russian propaganda. And finally, I don't think that this article is trustworthy. First of all, from the technical reason, the Buk system wasn't converted to target the ground targets. And the second reason, this author is kind of strange. Okay, Russia again tried to attack Ukrainian army near to Kupiansk. And here we may see the result of their attack. So they lost 2 of the tanks, one of the BMP probably, and this is also BMP with the classical turret-off situation. From what we see, Russians do not give up their attempts in gaining more territories under control, especially near Kupiansk. For now, all of those attempts are unsuccessful. Alright, to some other news. Elon Musk says that the only way to combat trolls or bots on Twitter is to make the users to pay for it. To pay for using the Twitter. He wants us to buy the subscription for Twitter. Definitely it's the no-go for the open source platform like Twitter was just recently. I think that this decision will just bury the Twitter platform. That is why, my friends, I use Telegram. It allows me to publish more information, there is very low censorship, plus it is more logical as for me compared to Twitter. This is the best Russian air defense system, the S-400 Triumph, that was destroyed on the occupied territory of Ukraine more than 1 month ago. The video leaked just today. So actually this is the first case. Then S-400 systems were totally demolished by the Ukrainian army. Later on it happened 3 more times in Crimea. So totally Russia lost at least 6 of those systems. Because here were 2 and in Crimea there were 2, 1 and 1. My friends, don't forget to press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, there will be some of the links in the video description just below for you to do so. Special thanks for my Patreon supporters and the sponsors of my YouTube channel. Guys, you are awesome. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.